Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Crochet and Coffee here, and today we have little science experiment. Science? Little experiment. It's an experiment. Okay, so you guys like me saw Stitcherista. She saw Simply Erin do this with her Gamsol. So I have some Gamsol here. And like Stitcherista, I wasn't the biggest fan of the blending stump. I do not like the blending stump. And this kit came from Amazon. It was like 13 bucks, and it's the same one like Stitcherista has. So I have to thank Stitcherista and Simply Erin for this because, yeah. But me and a few of my friends we all saw, you know, her video, and we're like, oh my god, look what Stitcherista did. Look what Simply Erin did. We got to do that too because that's better than a blending stump. Anyways, so in the package for my Gamsol, it came like this, not with the napkin in it, obviously. I just used that for the blending stump. But it had like tips and tricks and stuff and like all this like weird, yeah. And then you get 2 blending stumps, the sandpaper to like grind your blending stuff on, because essentially these are pressed paper. So essentially what you would do is you would spin this on here like this to sharpen it and to also get that color to bleed off. So you can see how there's some green on there from one of my last projects. But I'm not a fan of the blending stumps. They peel, I don't like it. So when I saw Stitcherista do this, I literally had just seen that video and I was like, I don't know if I would want to do the Copic marker. Now, I'm not sure if you can do this with any marker. I would assume that you can, but we all know what assumptions are. So I decided to show you guys how I filled mine, because I did notice a few of my friends had tried this with the Copic marker, and when they tried it, it just kept leaking. Like it was just flooding with the Gamsol. Like it was just leaking out. So I filled mine this morning. I'm gonna have to find a book that I colored in because I want to show you guys how well it works. So this is the Copic marker. It's the I think it was like $7 and change on Amazon. Now I want to assume you can do this with any marker that is refillable. Don't quote me on that, but I went with the Copic because I know Copic's a good brand, which I have a set of them coming apparently for my birthday. So with that said, how I filled mine. Okay, so I'm gonna essentially dump what I have in here out and then refill it. But what I did was, one, the Copic marker tops are on there really good. And as you can see, yes, I have used it. And as you can see, it's not leaking. So, what did I do? First things first, your Gamsol. Now, you can either do this one of 2 ways, like a gangsta or like a boss. So, what you do first, and we're gonna do it like a boss, or like a gangsta, I guess, because I don't have a funnel to funnel this in. You take off the cap to the Gamsol. Now, the cap to the Gamsol literally just comes off. So I took a napkin and got it off because I wasn't sure if it was still wet. And you don't have to twist it off, but it doesn't come full enough that if you tilt it a little bit, it will spill. So I just pulled it out of there. So make sure you put it on a flat surface so you're not spilling it all over the place. And then what you do is you take and pull out the nib to your Copic marker. Because these are refillable, obviously, because this one was empty, and then when you get other Copic markers, you can refill those as well. So I was just like, okay, well, she filled hers, and hers didn't leak all over the place. And I'm literally watching a video from Becky's Madness for Crafting, and she tried it, and it just leaked all over the place. And then I got a message from Affordable Colorist, and she said she prefers her stump because when she tried this method, it also leaked. So I was just like, I just did it and it didn't leak. So I'm going to show you guys how I did it. First things first, I took both caps off. Why? Because then I can watch to see the other nib whenever it gets wet. So you want that to get wet. Once that saturates, you don't really need to add too much more to it, okay? So like a gangsta, without a funnel, use a napkin and wash your hands. So I just poured this in, do it real slow. And you don't have to put a whole lot in there. It doesn't need a whole lot. I'm going to reinsert, and when you pull that nib out, that's what it looks like, okay? So you'll know what side to insert back into your pen. So you just push that down. Now don't push on the nib tip. Push on the sides, like grab it with a napkin on the sides and push it down. And you're going to push it down and you'll feel it snap back into place, okay? And there you have it. It's filled. And you can see how wet that is right there. And then we're going to tilt it to this side so this side gets wet as well. And as you can see, it's not dripping, it's not leaking or anything. Do not add a whole lot of Gamsol into it, because if you do, that's when you're going to get your leaking. Also, when you're storing markers or even this, store it on its side. Because it's double-ended, a lot of markers that you get are double-ended. Because it's double-ended, you want that liquid on the inside to reach both sides of your marker. Because if you leave it like this, then this side will dry out while this side has all the liquid on it. But if you leave it like this, same thing. This side will dry out or will get wet, but this side will dry out. So you're going to want to leave it on its side. No matter what kind of marker you get, leave it on its side. I don't know if this works for like Sharpies and stuff, but for this type of marker, I would definitely say if it's double-ended, leave it on its side so the liquid has a chance to get to both sides of the nib. And you saw how long that was, so the liquid should fit to be able to get to both sides. And again, it's not leaking, it's not dripping, but does it work? So we're gonna find an image in one of my coloring books. I'm gonna put the cap on this quick. Apparently I'm rolling the Gamsol stuff all over my table. Just pour it in slow. Don't pour in a lot. Remember, it's refillable. You can refill it. So, let me find a coloring book that I've colored in. Or we're going to end up having to color something quick. We're going to try this one. We're going to try this image here. So we can get rid of the napkins now because, you know, we've already gangsted it all out. So if you guys remember this, this beautiful lady was from a Mindful Monday. I didn't really get into fully blending. I have the Prismacolor blending pencil. Now, as far as I know, the Prismacolor blending pencil works with all color pencils. I saw someone ask that question before, and I've used it with my Arteza color pencils. I've used it with my, what's the other brand I have? My Castle Art color pencils. I've even used it with Crayola, and it blended the same way for all the colors. So, for those wondering, Prismacolor pencil blenders do work on all color pencils. Again, I got the pack of them, and when it came like this. Let me zoom you out quick. So this is what the Prismacolor pencil looks like. You just sharpen it like a pencil, and then essentially you're like writing on it. Don't look at that picture. We're not going to talk about that. So you can either use a blending pencil to blend your color pencils and stuff, or you can use the Gamsol. And if you prefer the stump, use the stump. With this, you just flip it upside down so that that sponge on the top of it gets wet, and then you roll your stump on there and then roll it on your page. But for me, that was getting tedious and it was annoying, so I decided I was going to try the Simply Aaron / I saw it on Stitcheresa's channel and Simply Aaron's channel way. So, with that said, and of course with Copics, it tells you what side is the brush tip, what side is the nib tip. The nib tip is the side that's actually marked, and we're going to use that side. So we're going to bring you back in. Get it. Yeah, get down in here. We don't need you in her pores. Jeez. And then we're going to take the top off, and let's see if it works. So we're going to go right here. And as you can see, it's working. It's not leaking. It's not being all super extra and juicy. It's working perfectly fine. Again, the trick is to not add too much Gamsol into your pen. Also, because I just forgot to do it and I'm wondering why this page kept flipping over, you're going to want to add that protection layer underneath because Gamsol is kind of oily. So you don't want that oil to essentially get on the page underneath it. So go ahead and put that protection page under there. And just like with markers, you're just gonna roll that on there, push that color around. And the reason why I like the Gamsol better, just from the little bit of time that I've been using it, because I've only had it about a week or so, I like it better just because it doesn't pull the ink. I learned sometimes with my blender pencil that the ink from the image will bleed over into the color pencil, and that was getting annoying as hell. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give in. You know, I've seen Stitcherista do it enough, so I was like, I think I got the hang of the Gamsol, and I've also seen Affordable Colorists using it. And so since I've seen it used both ways, I kind of knew how to use it. So always do your research, folks. There's videos for everything, everywhere online. So we're just gonna keep going. Her hair reminded me of like Napoleon ice cream. So there you have it. Does it work? Yes. All you have to do is just not overfill your pen. And then whenever you go to, say, switch it to color, so say if I wanted to do her face, to get that red off, just kind of brush it across the napkin here. And I always have napkins sitting over here on my little table. So I just brush it across the napkin until I don't see that color anymore, and it will be stained, but it shouldn't hurt anything. So let's see if it hurts something. So we're gonna go for, I guess, her lips. And as you can see, you don't see the color from her hair on her lips, and her lips are looking real smooth. So then we're gonna brush it off again. I'm gonna do that off camera because you don't need to see me brushing it off again. We're gonna do her eye. So there you have it. Also, if you're getting the leaking, look how good that looks. Holy crap. I did awesome. Kudos to me. All right. Also, if you're getting that bleeding like that where it's literally dripping out of your pen whenever you're using the pen. Nope, get out. Whenever you're using the pen, if you're turning it upside down and it's leaking like that, look at the difference. Okay, back in. No, I said back in. Look at the difference between, and for those wondering, the difference between the blending stump, or not the blending stump, but the color pencil blending, and then the Gamsol blending. You see how smooth the Gamsol blending looks right here? And then this here is the color pencil. So that is the difference of what your page will look like. The Gamsol gives it a smoother finish, where the blender pencil essentially uses what you had and just pushes that color around. The Gamsol will not only smooth it out, but will push it so that it blends with the other colors. So yeah, but if you are getting that leaking from your pen, what you're also, a couple of things you're going to want to check. One, check to make sure that that tip that you took out, because you can take out either side. Check to make sure that both sides are placed in properly. You want to push them in from the sides, not the tops, but you want to take them up from the sides and push them in. You want to make sure you hear a click, because they will click when they get back into place, because part of the problem could be that you filled it, but because you didn't hear that click because you didn't know to listen for it, that could have been your issue, and that's why it could be dripping out. Again, also you can check, did I overfill it? You don't need to put 2 tons of Gamsol in here. Like, I probably filled it maybe a quarter of the way. And Gamsol, it doesn't really take a whole lot, so you won't use a whole lot, and because it's not a regular marker, you're not going to use it that often. So essentially not overfilling it is also going to be key in this. So that is it. That is the tips and tricks that I have for you that I've learned over the last 24 hours of playing with this and trying to figure it out for myself. I didn't have the leaking issue. Again, just don't know. Look how good that looks. Oh my God, I'm so impressed right now. Yes, her hair is slayed right now. If you don't know what slayed means, it means it's snatched. It means it looks good. It means it's perfect. Look, it literally looks like there was a reflection on it. So again, this is the Gamsol. This is with the blender pencil. So yeah. And now just to think, I was afraid of the Gamsol. I was afraid of the Gamsol. Me and the Gamsol were not meshing. And so now I'm going to use the other side. So we're going to gam it up. So for those of you wanting to use the Gamsol, that's how you use it in the pen. If you decide you don't want to get the pen because you're not wanting to pay $7 for the frickin' refillable Copic, or you know, you don't have an empty marker, I can show you how to use it with the blending stump as well. Yes! Oh my god, that looks so freaking good. Alright. Sometimes you impress yourself. Like, that looks so realistic, it's scary. Like, I never thought I'd be that type of colorist, but look at that. Look at it, it looks real. Yes. Alright, so, say you want to use the blending stump. That's cool. We're going to say this is a Gamsol tutorial. Again, don't look at that. I was practicing. So, we're going to put the remote on it, so you can't look at it. Now this one comes with two different blending stumps. You're gonna get one, and they're made in Taiwan apparently. You're gonna get a fat one, and then you're gonna get a smaller one. I don't remember the sizes off the top of my head. A number 2 and a number 4. So this is the number 2, and then that's the number 4 if I had to guess. So what you would do is take your Gamsol, and make sure after you refill that pen that you put that Gamsol, that top back on there all the way. So that's what it should look like when it's on there all the way. Now this looks like a bingo dauber, okay? But you're not gonna daub the page with it. You're gonna take your blending stump, and what I did was I rolled it on there. You see how it's getting wet? You don't really need a whole lot. And then we're gonna get back in our business. So let's go to one of these sections. Let's go to her forehead. So you're essentially just gonna rub it on there. And essentially you just keep using it until it feels scratchy, like you can feel the Gamsols right out on the blending stump. And then you just go back over to your dauber. Gotta make sure I can see you guys. Roll it on there again. Keep going. So like right here by her eye, I did catch some of the ink from her eyelash, or the side of her eye makeup. Again, please forgive that rude dude outside who apparently doesn't know how to drive that stupid car. Anyways, I did catch some of that, so we're gonna try to blend that out, and it blended right out. So that's awesome. So what are your plans for the day? So I do apologize for the fact that you guys got 2 videos probably back to back. This morning it was super late, and I was trying to get to bed, and I messed up one of the videos 3 times, and I had just gotten so frustrated that apparently I forgot to schedule it for tomorrow. So that's fine. You guys will just get 2 unboxings of diamond paintings tomorrow. So we're just gonna... And just like with coloring with color pencils and stuff, you want to go in one direction. See, the thing I like about the Gamsol and the marker is there's no stopping to refill it. Like, I mean, yeah, if you run out of Gamsol in your pen, you'll have to refill it. But there's no stopping to have to roll it on the little dauber to keep going. You just go until you're done. So yeah, there's her face. blend it. We're gonna do a piece of her hair. And then of course, like the pencil or like the pen, you have to make sure your thing is clear before you go using it somewhere else. So we're gonna do this piece of her hair here with the blending stump. You see how it just smooths that color out, blends it together real nice. That's essentially what you're looking for with the Gamsol. You were looking for it to blend real nice, real easy, just make it look as realistic as possible. And essentially it's pushing that pigment of that color pencil around. It's bullying the pigment of the color pencil essentially. It's just pushing it around so that, you know, it does what you want it to do. I do not condone bullying of any sort, but in this case, it makes beautiful results. And then there you have that. So this is done with the mark. You can't see it. So as you can see, look how realistic her hair looks right there. Yes! Yes, I did a great job. I did a great job. Thank you. I did a great job. All right, so these are things that I'm learning as I'm on this coloring adventure. That was so not French. Anyways, so yeah, so that's it. Like, that's literally the only tip I have for you guys, is to essentially don't overfill the pen. Make sure to always put the top back on your Gamsol. When you're done with your blending stump, or you essentially need to sharpen it again, you just, and when I do this, I'm rolling it as I go. Roll it as I go. That's how you keep the sharp point on it, if you want a sharp point. But yeah, see how it kind of does that? So if you roll it, you won't get that result too much. And then this came with quite a few pages of the stuff on it, so if you need to change it, you know, that's not a problem. Sorry, you cut off on me. So yeah, so that's how you use the blending stump. This is the pad, again, that it came with all the shreds of paper on it. There's your Gamsol. It did come with like instructions and like this little turtle guide to tell you what to do with your life. Which I didn't even really read that part, but I'm pretty sure it has some good tips on it. I'll probably read it afterwards. If you would like to read it, feel free to pause, read that. Hold on. We're gonna open it. You can pause and read that. And then you can try to pause and read that. So yeah. So those are my tips and tricks with the Gamsol, how to use the Gamsol with the blending stump, how to use it in the Copic marker refill or marker refill in general. Now it came in its own little bag, and me personally, just for the sake of I'm clumsy sometimes and maybe don't put the top on all the way and I have children, I put it back in that bag and seal it before putting it back into the major bag with the rest of the stuff, just to keep it safe and protected. And then I just put this bag away, because now I can put this away because I have the pen, which we're going to do some more coloring with. And essentially you don't need to press down super hard with this either. Like, you're not beating it up, you're just kind of brushing over it. Kind of like you would with a watercolor pencil or something, or a watercolor pen. I just love how smooth the Gamsol makes your picture look. And it's going to look wet at first, so you're going to want to give it a few minutes to dry. All that fun jazz. So yeah, hopefully this helped a few of you people that were confused about Gamsol, or were afraid like I was, because I was. When I seen Stitcherisa pull that stuff out, and I've been watching affordable colorists use it, I'm like, dude, there's no way. There's no way. I'm not trying to get into all of that. but then I saw the results of what happens when you use the Gamsol and how much smoother your picture looks versus with the blender pencil. And I was like, okay, I might have to try this, because of course you want your picture to look as good as possible. So to me, in my opinion, if that matters anything to anyone besides myself, I just like the way it smooths out the picture. I like the way it makes the picture look. So I use the Gamsol. We're just gonna push some color around here. Fill in some of these gappy areas. That, and as you're in, what I like too is when you're in these white spots or the spots that you left open for shading purposes, when you rub that Gamsol there, when you're pushing the pigment from the color pencils around, essentially you're cleaning off your pen while you're doing it as well. So you're blending there and you're also cleaning your pen. So bonus. Because obviously if you use a napkin to clean your Gamsol pencil with, it's going to it's going to dry it out a little bit, so you don't want to have to use it that much. Yeah, and I'm just gonna Gamsol the rest of this because that hair just looks phenomenal. So yes, so look at, yeah, look at that. Like, tell me that don't look good. You can't tell me that don't look good. Whatever. Don't hate. All right, so we're gonna put that back in there. So yes, so those are my tips and tricks on how to refill your empty marker or what have you with Gamsol. Don't use a whole lot. Make sure your tips are back both on correctly and tight, and make sure to store it on its side. Also, make sure you put those caps back on so it doesn't dry it out. If you're using the blending stump, you know, have at it. Blender pencil still works good, but I just like how smooth it makes it look. Like, you can't see all the little details of the color pencil in there now. Missed a spot up there. Don't worry. Okay, perfect example. So you see that little spot up there and how it looks all like kinds of, you know, whatever. It's right here. Can you see it? You can see it. So, there we go. That'll focus you a little bit better. I'm just going to rub over it with this Gamsol pen. And like magic, it pushed the color around in those empty spaces. It just pushes that color around to fill in the gaps. There's some more right there. So you see how gritty it looks from the color pencil? It won't focus you that far. There we go. It looks kind of gritty, right? So the Gamsol essentially takes care of that grit. It moves that pigment around so it's not just sitting on top of there like that. Moves it around so it smooths it out. And I would always suggest cleaning off your pen before putting it back, because then if you go to use it again at a later point in time on a different image, you don't want that old ink still sitting there. So always clean off your Gamsol pen before you put it back. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more weird tutorials on things that I learned, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell if you haven't already, to be notified whenever I decide to put up a new video randomly like this one. So again, thank you guys so very much for watching. As always, I'm going to remind you to always try to be kind, be courteous, be cool. Bye, guys.